How do you feel energy? We love proof. Human beings, we love proof. I love proof. During my journey and along my journey, desperately wanted proof of these things that I was reading, I was sensing. I got it, I understood it, but I was like, okay, can I have some like little bit tangible proof so that it doesn't have to fully just fall on faith? How do you feel energy? If energy is all around us, it's in you, everything, how can you start to build a relationship with energy? I had none. Or so I thought, actually. Or so I thought. Because my whole life, I actually had a lot of anxiety. And I normalized it because it is normal. Everyone has anxiety, right? And I used to have these panic attacks, actually, for a long time. And cut 2 years later, when I was in this journey and I was really, really spending time by myself in silence, wanting to feel energy so that I could better understand it, I started to have what I used to call panic attacks. And immediately I was like, oh no, like another panic attack. Like, I haven't had this in a long time. And then I started to realize that this was actually energy. And when I just flipped the script on it and understood that what I had been feeling my whole life, anxiety, panic, all these things were energy. And I now was starting to learn and understand about the fact that energy can be transmuted, it can be released, it can be manipulated. Suddenly I was like, oh, that's interesting. So let's sit with this. And I did. And a lot of things happened. But how do you feel energy? How can you start to build a relationship with energy so that you can then use it to your advantage, so that you can then take control of the energy in your life, really? For me, it was crucial to spend time alone and spend time in silence and spend time in nature. These three things changed everything for me. And I don't even need necessarily meditation. That's not necessarily what I mean, although great, if you meditate, that's amazing, right? But I don't mean that kind of silence and alone. I mean spending time getting to know yourself, getting to know the voice in your head, getting to know the way you think, getting to know what happens in stillness and in silence. And you can have your eyes open if you want, and you can, be staring at a tree. I did that many times. I just stared at one plant for an hour, and I just would eventually start to listen to, the energy with my senses. Sometimes I would start feeling tingly. Sometimes I could hear things. Sometimes I could smell things differently. And I started to really fine tune my senses. We have 5 senses as a, 5-sensory human. However, there are many more senses that you can develop and that you can activate that are not necessarily the normal ones, but they're there. Intuitive senses. You can develop all kinds of senses. The more you fine-tune your senses and the more you start to get to know your senses one by one, the more sensitive you start to become to this energy. And the more you can start to actually feel the energy around you and within you. A simple, super simple exercise is creating energy balls. Take your hands and you close your eyes and you start rubbing your hands like this, creating friction, which we know creates energy. So this is science. And you start to rub your hands like this. Faster, 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 faster. And then you start to imagine that you're, as if it was Play-Doh, that you're creating this ball in between your hands. And it grows bigger and bigger and bigger. And slowly you start to expand your hands just as this imaginary, if you will, ball will start growing in your hands. And then eventually Just stay with this. And I promise you, you will feel the energy. I mean, if this is real, why wouldn't the other kind of energy be real? And you start to realize, oh, so I actually can feel energy. It kind of feels a little bit like magnety sometimes. Sometimes it feels like it pushes and pulls. Sometimes it feels like tingly. Sometimes it can feel a little crampy. There's very different ways in which you can feel energy or sense energy. And every single person is completely different. I know people who feel energy in many different ways. I don't think there is one way. I think it's just a matter of getting to know how it is that you particularly could relate to energy. How do you feel it? And then once you actually start to know how you feel it, then you start to be able to differentiate between feeling positive energy or negative energy, good or bad, high or low, however you want to define it. Again, energy in its natural state is neutral. It's not good, it's not bad. Energy is neutral. It's what you do with this energy that gives it that relationship of negative or positive. It's how you relate to this energy that gives it that. Certain energy can have what is known as higher frequencies or higher vibrations or lower frequencies. Frequency, again, this is science. You can measure energy in frequencies. Now, energy that has higher frequency technically is, makes you feel is better for you. That have lower frequencies will make you feel more tired, will make you feel just lower frequency yourself. Whatever the energy is at the frequency that you're connecting with is the frequency that you will go into. And so if there is something that, for example, certain feelings have very low frequency, fear, sadness, distrust, panic, anger, and they're not bad energies. They're just lower frequency energies. Those same energies can be transmuted into higher frequency energies, like the highest one, we all know it, love, happiness, gratefulness. All of these things, when you feel them, you're elevating the frequency of your internal energy. And by doing so, you are now connecting to things that are in that same frequency. Somebody told me this metaphor, I guess, once, and it really helped me understand it, which is think of it like a radio station. If you don't like the song that you're listening to, what do you do, or what do you used to do? Change the station, change the frequency. If you don't like what you are feeling or the energy that is around you, change the frequency. Bring your frequency to a different one, and then you will now exist with energy that lives in that same frequency. And so at any given moment, there are multiple energies that are living in many different frequencies. You will connect to the frequency that you are in. So if you decide to hang out in this frequency, you'll connect to things that are hanging out in this frequency. If you decide you want to be here, you'll connect to things that are here. And the things that are lower will actually not even exist or in the same field as you. So this is very helpful because once you start to understand how to get sensitive and build a relationship in order to feel energy, and then you start to develop this understanding of what different kinds of energy feels like, then you can actually start to decide what frequency you want to hang out in.